Go ahead.
Thanks, Kristen. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the planning meeting for Tuesday, October the 15th, 2024. And we are being streamed live. And I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. First on the agenda is the land acknowledgement. Excuse me. We are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Mohawk and Algonquin nations whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Is there any declaration of interest? Being none, I need a motion that the agenda of the planning meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmora and Lake for Tuesday, October the 15th, 2024 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Eric, second Jane. Any discussion on this agenda? All in favor? That's carried. Next, minutes of the planning meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmora and Lake for Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024. And the recommendation is that foregoing minutes of the planning meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmora and Lake held Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Eric, second. Jane, any discussion on that recommendation? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Next on the agenda is the public meeting. This is the time set aside to permit anyone in attendance to speak in favor or in opposition to the zoning amendments. Public input will be received by council. If a person or public body would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision to the municipal council for the municipality of Marmora and Lake to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of Marmora and Lake before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make a written submission to the municipal council for the municipality of Marmora and Lake before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So it's the proposed zoning bylaw amendment 671-673 Marble Point Road, Marmora and Lake. The subject lands are presently zoned waterfront and residential. The purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands to waterfront residential exception number 3 zone, which will have the effect of recognizing the location of the existing cottage, which will allow for its reconstruction and to permit the maximum height of an accessory building to be 8.3 meters and to permit the minimum interior yard setback for an accessory building to be 0.95 meters. Does anyone wish to speak on this application? Being none, we'll move on then to, I guess, do we need a motion to accept that amendment or that zoning? No. Just note that there was no one spoke publicly. Okay, well, you can come and speak if you wish to. Yes. Just, you'll have to put the mic on and it's probably sit, so the mics, you have to be sitting close to them.
Okay.
Yeah, or speak close to them.
So as the motion states, we plan to reconstruct our cottage to make it a full-time home. We hope to retire here. The terrain on Marble Point Road is quite challenging, as many of you know. The road is very high up relative to the lake. We plan to build on the footprint of the existing cottage that has been there since the days of the Marble Point Lodge, which I'm sure many of you know. It is quite close to the lake, so the elevation is much lower than the road level. Due to the fact we plan to retire there, we'd like to be able to avoid the many sets of stairs that are currently in place to get us from Marble Point Road down to the cottage. So with the help of Three Hills Engineering, we designed a driveway that will take us from Marble Point Road down to close to where the current cottage is, beside it. And that helps us bridge some of the difference in the elevation change, but it's too much to do safely. The slope of the driveway would be much, much too steep if you just did a direct driveway down. So the solution we came up with is to build a 2-story garage, similar to what you may see on many lake houses, where from the front, if you're looking on Marble Point Road, it'll appear that there's more or less one tall story. But then when you're on Crow Lake, you'll notice that there's a basement beneath that. So you'll basically be driving from the driveway into the second floor of the garage. So really, it's so tall because the basement effectively raises the garage to meet the driveway, to keep the driveway at a safe slope. So that's what we're requesting today, to get permission to build a taller garage than would normally be in the, covered in the bylaws, but that allows us to basically come in through the second floor, and there's an intent to put in a cargo elevator in case we have trouble getting down in our later years. So that'll bring us basically level to the cottage. Drive in on the second floor, take the cargo elevator down to the bottom of the first floor, and then you will be level with the planned cottage.
Okay, thank you for your input.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next are the zoning amendments. Zoning amendment bylaw number 2024-51P. 671-673 Marble Point Road, and the legal description is part lot 11, concession 3, with lots 19 and 20 on registrar's compiled plan 2132. The bylaw 2024-51P would rezone the subject lands to waterfront residential exception number 3 zone, which will have the effect of recognizing the location of the existing cottage, which will allow for its reconstruction and to permit the maximum height of an accessory building to be 8.3 meters, and to permit the minimum interior yard setback for an accessory building to be 0.95 meters. And at this point, I think, Emily, do you want to speak to that?
So through you, Madam Chair. So as said, the purpose of the bylaw is for reconstruction of the existing dwelling. It'll generally maintain the same setbacks as currently, but with expanded deck, which is all approved by Crow Valley Conservation Authority. And the primary, reasoning for the rezoning rather than a minor variance is just the size of the garage is quite large. So the typical maximum size of a garage under the current bylaw is about 4.5 meters. So 8.3 meters was just a bit hard to meet that minor test. But overall, planning staff are supportive of the rezoning application, as it does meet the intent of the official plan.
Thank you. The recommendation is that the County of Hastings Planning Staff report dated October 2nd, 2024, regarding rezoning of lands legally described as part lot 11, concession 3, lots 19 and 20 on registrar's compiled plan 2132 be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment 2024-51P regarding the rezoning of lands legally described as part lot 11, concession 3, lots 19 and 20 on registrar's compiled plan 2132 be recommended for council's adoption. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Eric? Ron? Does council have any further questions regarding this application? Ron? Your mic, Ron.
I guess my question's for Emily. Emily, is it much higher, like in terms of blocking vision for other people? People thought.
So through you, Madam Chair. No, the way the garage is going to be set up is, as the applicant said, It's a quite a steep slope towards the lake. So it'll be effectively a walkout basement. The neighboring property owners are screened with trees, so that's effective screening measure. But from the road though, in addition, just the slope, you can't really see much of the garage anyway, but it will look basically like a typical one-story garage. It's just when you see it from the lake side, you'll see the walkout basement portion. So between the screening of the trees and just how the garage is designed, it'll look like a pretty typical garage.
Thank you, Emily. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Business arising out of the minutes, none. Move on down to letters of resolution. And the recommendation regarding the planning consent file B7724. Recommendation is that the correspondence of the clerk is hereby received. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Jane, second. Eric, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Bylaw number 2024-51P zoning amendment 671-673 Marble Point Road, being a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2003-11 as amended. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that bylaw? Eric and Jane, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. So the confirming bylaw number 2024-62P, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the planning meeting of council held on the 15th day of October 2024. I have a mover and a seconder for that, Ron and Eric. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. I need a motion to adjourn, Ron. Thank you. We're going to adjourn this portion of the meeting, and then we're going to commence the next meeting, which is Committee of Adjustment. And Deputy Mayor Stevens, who's normally the chair of the Committee of Adjustment, is absent. He's away on vacation. And so we'll have nominations for the chair of the Committee of Adjustment. And the clerk will take over the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor O'Neill. So I would take a nomination for an acting chair just for this meeting in the absence of Deputy Mayor Stevens.
Go ahead, Eric.
I nominate Mayor Jan O'Neill as acting chair.
Need a seconder. Ron.
Ron? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? All those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you. So welcome everyone to the agenda or to the Committee of Adjustment meeting for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We're being streamed live. The land acknowledgement. We are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Mohawk and Algonquin nations whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So I'll call the meeting to order at 5:43. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Being none, we need a motion that the agenda for the Municipality of Marmon Lake Committee of Adjustment meeting for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 be approved as presented. I get a mover and a seconder, Eric and Ron. Any discussion on this agenda? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Next, Committee of Adjustment minutes. The recommendation is that the foregoing minutes of the Municipality of Marmon Lake Committee of Adjustment meeting held September the 5th, 2023 be approved. And I have a mover and a seconder. Jane, second Eric. Any discussion on those minutes? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. The application, minor variance MV 2024-01, 113 PP Horn Road, legally described as Part Lot 2 Concession 12, Municipality of Marmon Lake. And the purpose, the applicant has requested relief from the following policy. Section 10.3.A.V. So the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2003-11. The minimum rear yard setback of the principal building from the high water mark is 30 meters, whereas a setback of 26.37 meters from the high water mark is proposed. This is the time set aside to permit anyone who requested to speak in favor of or in opposition to the minor variance application. Public input will be received by the Committee of Adjustment. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of Marmon Lake within 20 days of the bylaw passing, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Municipal Board. Does anybody wish to speak to this application? No? Okay, any comments, Emily, on this application?
Through Madam Chair, as the applicant said, the application is pretty straightforward. So essentially the effect of it will be still maintaining the existing setback of 26.37 meters. However, the cottage will be slightly rotated in the reconstruction. So getting slightly closer to the water on one side, but overall improving. So it is desirable. The effect is minor as it's just turning cottage. It meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and it meets the intent of the official plan, just because we do permit waterfront development in both those documents. So overall, it's staff's opinion that it does meet the 4 tests of minor variance and do recommend approval.
Thank you. Does any member of council have any questions for Emily on this application? Being none, the recommendation is that the Hastings County response dated October the 8th, 2024 be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Ron and Eric, any further questions or comments? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The decision, the recommendation that the minor variance application MV 2024-01 for lands located at 113 PP Horn Road, Marmon Lake, legally described as Part Lot 2 Concession 12, Municipality of Marmon Lake, to permit the reconstruction of the existing cottage with a rear yard setback of 26.37 meters from the high water mark be approved, and that the Committee of Adjustment is satisfied that the application meets the 4 tests of minor variance. The variance is desirable as it will allow for the reconstruction of a cottage which will either improve existing deficiencies or meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw. The impact of the variance can be considered minor as it proposes to alter the setback of the existing cottage only slightly. The application generally meets the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. This application meets the 4 tests individually. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Ron and Eric, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Need a motion to adjourn, Ron. Thank you, everyone.